Hello to all you magic makers out there, and welcome to Touch of Magic, where we explore everything magical, mystical, mysterious, and metaphysical. I'm your host, Marissa DiAradia, aka Sin City Witch, and today we have the honor of having Belladonna Laveau, who is the Archpriestess of the Aquarian Tabernacle Church. I'm going to say that right, which is a Wiccan church in Washington State, and I believe it's the oldest recognized Wiccan church in the United States, if I'm not mistaken. Is that right, Bella?
I don't know if it's the oldest, but I do know that we're a 501 organization. So we have an umbrella, like the Vatican and the Mormons, which allow us to create other pagan Wiccan organizations. So we're the most legal, oldest legal, but
legal. Okay.
Yeah, it's the paperwork that what gives us that's why the Aquarian Tabernacle Church is a unique entity, is the paperwork. But yeah, we've been around since 1979. I'm the second primate is what they call it.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm excited to have you here to share your knowledge, your experience, and tell us all about the cool, amazing things that go on at the Aquarian Tabernacle Church, and maybe give some people insights into Wicca, because the dialogue about Wicca is not always great, what we see sometimes. And I've had a few arguments with people, even in my own group on Sin City Witches, that attack it in some ways. So I think if people I think there's a lot of misunderstanding about it. So I think meeting somebody with, your credentials and hearing from you about the religion and the practice and what it's all about is going to go a long way to helping people make opinions based on facts, rather than a lot of the things that we see on social media that just get thrown out there. I think sometimes just to stimulate conversation, I think a lot of times. So can you tell everybody a little bit about yourself, the practice of your group and that kind of thing, what goes on?
I sure will. I'm so grateful for you having me today. Thank you so much for bringing me on the show. It's an honor and a pleasure to be here. I just adore you anyway. So it's always wonderful to get to share and talk. Yeah, sometimes people are like, we don't need Wiccan churches. We don't need organized religion and stuff like that. But I think that they really misunderstand the purpose of churches in society in general. So we have all of these broken systems in the United States and the world at large. And we're like, I don't know how to fix these. I don't know how to fix these. What are we going to do? What are we going to do? And we look at our government. We're like, that's another broken system. The thing about it is that churches inculcate culture in our world. And so without churches, we don't have any leadership to bring about the kind of world that pagans want. And so by having legal organizations that are pagan, Wiccan, witch in nature, it creates a world that has a culture with the values that spiritual people are looking for. We all are kind of freedom-loving, fly-by-night, hippie kind of creatures, in witchcraft. We all like to sit around in the dark and contemplate the cosmos. But it's not even safe to do that if we don't have institutions that make it safe for that to happen. The Aquarian Tabernacle Church is a civil rights church. Like Pete Pathfinder Davis, who was our founder, was a legal eagle. He learned law at his father's knee. And he wasn't a lawyer, but his father was, and he heard all about it. And so he went through great lengths to secure a 501 umbrella organization for Wicca. Oh my goodness, that is a terrible noise, and I apologize for that. Let me get rid of it right away. And also make sure that my phone is silenced, because that will
know what that noise is.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a noise, right? So I just forgot that I was signed in.
Yeah.
So Pete secured a 501. He was just trying to get a legal church, and it took a lot. We have notebooks, 3-ring binder notebooks full of documents to the IRS that Pete went through the legal battle of being able to create a Wiccan church. And his entire purpose for doing that is that he started hanging around with pagans and realized that they didn't have the same civil rights as everybody else. And he was like, this is not fair. You should have all of the same legal rights as all of the other religions out there. And so he did battle with the IRS. And when he finally got approval for the church, he noticed that the name on the paperwork was an Indian name, a Hindu Indian name. And so he filed for the paperwork for the umbrella organization and got it. And it is a very important piece of paper. It's literally the only thing that other leaders in Wicca and paganism are like, you have to make sure that we don't lose that. I'm like, no, I got it. All of the other stuff that we do is kind of bonus, because the paperwork, they've changed the way that you go about getting an umbrella exemption now because it's such a big deal. And Selena Fox is like, we will never get another one. Do not lose that. You got it.
Yeah.
So that's my job as guardian of the paper. But we get to do a lot of other things too, because we have that paperwork. We have a college, a seminary, which Reverend is a title that you're not allowed to use without a legal seminary. So all of pagans get to use the word Reverend because we have WiccanSeminary.EDU as a legal state authorized degree granting agency for Wicca. And then we have Spiral Scouts, which is the 4th largest youth organization in the United States. It's a co-ed camp girl, Boy Scout kind of thing where they learn pagan. We call it the future stewards of the earth because they learn earth stewardship.
Oh, that's so cute. I love that.
It's really neat. And it's a fun thing for kids. And it also teaches them a lot about paganism, pagan values, and things of this nature. And we have churches all over the world. We onboarded Africa during the pandemic. That was kind of exciting.
Wow. Africa, huh? That's amazing.
Yeah.
How many different smaller offshoots do you have, like satellite churches?
So if I were to count them up, there's probably about 35 around the world.
Wow.
So yeah.
And what's like the membership level, would you say, like number wise, worldwide?
Oh, worldwide, people that identify as members of the ATC, I would be guessing.
You don't even know. All right.
We have 2,000. No, we have 5,600 on our database roster, but we've only been compiling that since I became Archpriestess. And there's all kinds of people. You lose track. Pagans don't like to be put on a roster anywhere.
No, they don't want to be on a roster. They don't want to be in anybody's database for sure.
They don't. But we're coming up on 50 years of being in service to the community. Amazing. When I go around, people are like, oh, I knew Pete. Yeah, I knew Pete. I'm ATC. And so it's hard to tell because we're all spread out. But yeah, that's exciting.
So I know that, the word church definitely has a negative connotation, especially with a lot of people moving towards witchcraft, paganism, alternative spirituality, because they've had bad experiences within a church structure. And we know that, right? And they felt stifled, they felt controlled. What would be different about being part of, let's say, the Aquarian Tabernacle, where people would feel like that wasn't the case? What's different about it?
We're not a governing body. We're an organizing body. We're a facilitating body. We help you be legal. You don't have to go to the IRS and talk about all of the things that you do. We do the paperwork for you, and the IRS just agrees that our stamp of approval is good enough. So you don't have to go. And because of that, the IRS has made it much easier for pagans and Wiccans to get through, because if they don't, then we just turn into this big, powerful organization, and they don't want that to happen, right? So they've made it easier. They're like, oh, we can't stop the pagans now because we have an umbrella. Yeah, so it's become a lot easier now, which is good for us because, it helps grow our ideology, which is so needed on the planet now. But also we don't, Wiccans in general aren't, the religion's not designed to judge and control and tell people what to do. Like, I know there's always going to be humans out there that are controlling and try to be like that, but that's a personal thing. That's not a religion thing.
Right. That has nothing to do with the actual practice of Wicca, right?
Right.
Okay. So that's good information. People don't realize that, I think. And I think the minute you say church and the minute you say Wicca, a lot of people are like, I'm not Wiccan, I'm a witch. And I'm like, okay. All right.
There's certainly witchcraft out there that's not Wiccan.
That's not Wiccan. Yeah.
There's all kinds
you don't have to be angry about it. Don't be angry about it, though,
Well, yeah.
It's fine. Do you?
If you're angry and you have bitterness, there's something for you to work on. Go stand in front of the mirror and talk about it. Don't tell me.
Yeah. So maybe like describe to people, how would you describe Wicca for people watching that like maybe don't understand what is Wicca, under the umbrella of, religion, paganism? What's the basis of it? How would, I don't want to put you on the spot, but I mean, like, just explain.
No, I got a good answer for that.
All right. I'm glad.
So, I look at Wicca as a cubicle. When you go to your job, you've got a computer, you've got tools, you've got a bench and a desk and a chair and all of the things you need to do your work. I really see Wicca as the framework for spiritual growth. It has the things that you need for spiritual growth. And what I love about Wicca is that it allows you to add in whatever flavor you want to for that. It's an access or a key to access the other realms and to grow spiritually. It's not a dogma, it's a guideline. It's less of a rules as much as a guideline for spiritual practice. It helps you get to where you want to go. And you'll find that witches are all different. Like, they might worship different gods, they might believe in different stories, they might like, I'm very metaphysical in nature. And when I came up, I was watching Oprah Winfrey, and she would introduce us to people like Deepak Chopra and stuff like that. I was Mormon. I was raised a good little Mormon girl. So I have a different slant on things. When I came in, I was British traditional, Gardnerian. My teacher was Gardnerian. I'm from Janet Farah's line. And all of that works, but you might be really into Hindu gods or Celtic gods or Norse deity. And it all works inside Wicca. It's a platform that helps you get to where you're going instead of a box to hold you in.
I love that. That's great. That was a really great description. I like it a lot. So in the ATC, is there a pantheon of gods that you work with? And is it actually a Gardnerian tradition? Is it lineaged in any way? That kind of thing.
No, it is not lineaged. It is a legal entity that gives you legal status within our government. We have several, we've approved of traditions that if you're in this tradition, it's easier to get it. But if you're not in that tradition, it doesn't mean you can't apply. It just means we're going to have to do more work to figure out who you are and what you're doing, and if you're legitimate. We make sure that you're legitimate. We don't empower rogues. You have to.
Right, of course.
Yeah, but we're it's not, you have to be through my lineage. I'm part of the wise tradition. I created the wise tradition because we do things a little bit different from Gardnerian. I put air in the north because I'm astrological, and that makes sense to me. And that's the biggest difference between my tradition and Gardnerian witchcraft. But we have druids and Celtic and a bunch of different groups in there.
Okay, so there's not, so this isn't like the same tradition at all the different ATC satellite churches, right?
No.
Okay, so do you have to follow a specific format to be part of it? Like, does it have to have certain guidelines that they have to follow as far as like, I don't know, the wheel of the year, the way they do the rituals, that kind of thing?
No, you really kind of have to be, you have to be Wiccan, because that's what our paperwork says. And you have to be you have to follow. You can't do anything that's going to jeopardize the paperwork. So you can't do anything shady. You can't embezzle. You can't like take your rent off of your donations if you live in an apartment because you're circling there. Like, things have to be legal. Right. And that's the biggest thing about it. You have to be above board. You have to do things the right way. You have to file your P&Ls. And you have to be legitimate clergy. We don't have, us three read a book and we started doing Wicca and now we want to be an affiliate. You have to be a real legal clergy so that you have a real church. Now, you can join as a circle. You can be a part of the fellowship. We love to have you, but we can't empower you as a church, because when you become an ATC church, you become an iconic figure in the community in your local area, right? Like, everybody looks at you as, this is the legitimate church. So you have to be that. That's pretty much it. We want you to be a real clergy person, and we want you to operate above board. People call and complain about you. We have to make sure that you're okay. And like I said, you can't do anything to jeopardize the paperwork, because that is very important to Wicca in general. So we're careful about who we add in that respect, but what gods you worship, we don't care. We don't care how you worship them. We don't care how you, elevate your people, what your requirements for it.
Right. Your degree system isn't set up like that. Okay. So basically, this is a foundation based on Wicca for groups that otherwise might not be able to be recognized as churches, but who qualify as one under what they're doing.
Yeah, it's all about protecting our civil rights, and enhancing the culture of Wicca, and protecting what we believe in, and allowing us to get the same civil rights as afforded to all other religions. And our patron deities are Hecate and Pan.
Okay.
You asked me that, and we kind of never answered it.
Yeah, because I'll just keep talking, Bella. If I skip over something, just jump right in there, because I'm a talker. My brain goes a mile a minute and it comes right out my mouth.
we have Hecate wheel on our robes, and it's and Pan is kind of beloved by all, but we don't expect anybody else to worship in that way. And we do the Eleusinian mysteries. We've been doing them for almost 40 years. That's my dog. I'm very excited about the spring mysteries and what we do there, because that's what I did before I became the Archpriestess. Those are the mysteries that I personally follow and walk and study.
Okay. Are they Greek? Are they Greco-Roman? Is that just Greek? Okay.
Well, the Eleusinian mysteries are from ancient Greece. There was a city called Eleusis, and it's known as the goddess's city. And it's where they did Demeter and Persephone and the descent of the underworld, about the seasons and the wheel of the year and all of that. So that was a big, big deal. And the ATC was called to restore those mysteries to the earth. We've been doing it for 40 years now, and it's the oldest religious pilgrimage known to man.
Wow. Yeah. Oh, that's amazing. So you reenact that every year?
Well, we restored those mysteries to the earth, and we have vessels that hold the spirit of the deity for a year, and it's a living museum. They're fully embodied, and they wear the outfits, the clothes. We have a helmet for Athena that's passed down to the next vessel every year. It's Athena's helmet. It doesn't belong to anybody but Athena. So when you're wearing that helmet, you're wearing Athena's helmet, and you're her vessel. So that's kind of cool.
It's very cool, but you got to say, so I understand what you're saying, but I'm thinking people are going vessel, embodiment. What is she talking about? Because some of the people are new or this is not something in their practice that they're familiar with. So let's go over, what do you mean by these things? Just so people are clear about what you're saying. They're the embodiment for a year. What is that?
So when you become a member of the priesthood of Eleusis, you are inducted into the priesthood as a vessel. Vessels are it's like the dress of the deity. It's the clothing that the deity wears when they're on the earth. So you go to ritual, or a priestess, say, in the charge of the goddess, and they invoke, right? So
Right.
invoking deity into yourself so that deity can have a mouth and speak to the people who aren't sure that what they're hearing in their subconscious back of their mind is deity. You can speak to them and be the hands and the mouth and the eyes of the gods. At Eleusis, that's one of the things that was so powerful about Eleusis, is you could go and speak to the gods themselves. Demeter talks to us and tells us what she wants for her festival every year. And she's really concerned right now about the earth and us losing our food supply and all of the things that are going on right now. Like, I went around before the pandemic and told everybody the pandemic was coming. We didn't know it was a pandemic. We just knew it was going to be something bad and that the food supply was going to be threatened. And we had that had we not had these mysteries. Like, this is Demeter's big deal. This is what she loves. So the pantheon of Greece is fully embodied, meaning we are possessed with the spirits of these gods and are able to allow the gods use our bodies as communication vehicles so that they can speak to you. And they bring forth amazing information every year that we would not have otherwise. People get personal prophecy. They get to go and talk to the gods in shrines and be told amazing things. We had a priestess this year who saw Athena, and Athena had information from, just blew our minds. I was like, oh my God, I cannot believe this information that we're getting told. But it was all about the Axis Mundi and where it was and where it was being moved to, and just things that, we wouldn't have even asked. We would have thought to ask the question, you know what I mean? So it's really beautiful to be able to have that connection with deity and go somewhere where you can get external validation. Because when you press questions and then you get the answers, you think, is that my subconscious? Is that am I making up? Is it not real? But then when you go and you talk to somebody, it's just like when you go get a reading and it blows your mind. It's a little bit different when you talk to embodied deity, because they're telling you stuff that the person speaking would not know, and you're getting validation that is external, so you can't question whether or not you're making it up. It's really empowering. And plus, you cry in the present deity, or I do anyway. When anybody's embodied like that, you have involuntary physical manifestations in your own body that let you know that it's really happening. So it's
Okay.
powerful.
So is this like almost like a possession, or a channeling or trance channeling?
Yeah,
I mean,
it's possessed.
Okay. All right. So your group believes in the gods and goddesses as actual entities, as living entities. Okay. Got it.
It's omnipotent.
Yeah.
Yes, it's omnipotent conscious entities.
Wow. That's amazing, because not everybody follows that school of thought. A lot of people feel like they're just archetypes or, symbols of whatever it is that they're symbolizing, right? And that's very interesting. So would you say most Wiccans believe that the gods and goddesses are actual, real, living thing, in the spirit world, obviously?
I would say that most Wiccans agree in the charge of the god. That's about it.
Okay, yeah, I hear you. I mean, put 5 Wiccans in a room and nobody's got the same take, for sure. I got it. So the mysteries that you guys are exploring during these rituals that you're doing, the mysteries of life. A lot of people use the word, mysteries. What is meant by that for people who might not understand the concept of what is the mystery? What is it about?
Well, protect the mysteries, reveal them often is something that we say in witchcraft. And mysteries are things that when you see it, it makes something happen in your head that brings epiphany and revelation, personal revelation to you. A psychodrama is a play that is based on a spiritual concept or a mythology. And so when you watch a psychodrama being enacted, then you get information that's ineffable. You can't speak it. When you see it sounds like it's not as big of a deal as it is when you hear it in your soul. But the mysteries are, that's the term that has traditionally been used for the mysteries of Eleusis. The mysteries of Eleusis are, the goddess calls them. And when she talks to us about them, she calls them my mysteries. So that's the words that we use.
All right. So are the mysteries the same for everybody, or do people have different understandings of what they are, or do they mean different things to different people, contingent upon the path they're on and the connection to the gods and goddesses that they're dealing with?
So I think that the word mysteries is used differently by different people, for sure. Everybody's got their own take on it. But the mysteries of Eleusis are specifically the story of Demeter and Persephone being taken to the underworld, and what Demeter went through, and how the seasons came about, and how that impacts our world. And it's a lot about agriculture and food. Demeter is a goddess of the light, and she tells us that we as witches sit around and contemplate the dark too much, and we take our food for granted. We take our food and our nutrition and our bodies for granted, and we do not spend enough time growing our own food, knowing what's in our food. And she's really upset about she calls it the plastic food that we eat today, that it's the mass-produced food is not good for us, and it's causing us to have cancer and diabetes and all of these illnesses that mankind used to not have. And she says that we need to embrace the mysteries of the light as well as the mysteries of the dark. We need to understand the rituals that mankind has lost. And a lot of them are based on praying when you get up, praying over your food, cooking your food in a sacred way with knowledge and forethought, and thinking about what you're actually adding into your food and how that's impacting your body, and just living in a sacred way. We spend a lot of time trying to unravel the mysteries of the universe, but she says that is not going to do you any good if you don't get enough food every day.
Right.
And that we take that for granted, that she's given us this paradise that's abundant, and everybody here can have everything that they need to survive, but there's these greedy people that take too much for themselves and don't leave enough for everybody else. And that's a big problem for her. And she also doesn't like the fact that the governments have tricked us into thinking that our prosperity comes from them, and that we need these little pieces of paper, and we have to be enslaved to a job every day, because she gives us everything that we need from the earth. She's like, if I don't make it, you don't get it. And that includes rocket ships and musical instruments and computers and all of the great things that y'all have. All of it comes from what I have given you, and you don't have to do without. And so many of us are detached from that reality, and we have so much lack in our universe because we think that our prosperity comes from pieces of paper that are created from government who seek to control and enslave the people. She gets off on tangents, but like she's unhappy with the state of the world today, and she wants us to have our freedom and our abundance and personal sovereignty back. She also wants us to know her. She feels like She comes and speaks into our lives, and we have these fantastical spiritual experiences, and then we talk ourselves out of it. Maybe that really didn't happen. Maybe we made that up. Maybe we're crazy. Maybe God doesn't exist. Does God really exist? Did that really happen? That she and the gods in general thrive off of our worship, and questioning whether or not they exist and the spiritual experiences that we have damages them.
Okay. And what does she think about science?
She loves science. she loves science, and she loves technology. What she doesn't like is the fact that we get technology and then we don't, it takes us away from our spiritual. So the more comfort we have, the more we are sensitive to discomfort, and the more focused on our own personal comforts that we get. We just like anything, when things get easy, you get weaker. When things aren't hard for humans, we get spoiled. And she wants us to have our technology and not lose our connection to our spiritual mother.
Yeah. Well, technology is good and it's bad. And, having a cell phone with the whole world inside of it is good and it's bad. I can totally agree with that. And I think people are spending too much time in their phones and not connecting to each other, one-on-one,
Well, Athena said that I'm the vessel of Athena this year. And Athena told me that mankind has been at this point of evolution no less than 7 times. And we're talking about Demeter is the she that we've been talking about. But Athena said that we are challenged to have all this technology and use it for good, that we all get very focused on me, and not enough we. And we need to take this opportunity to utilize sustainable energy and all of that kind of stuff. And we have to get the powers that be to allow for green technology and food for everybody and education, healthcare for everybody. And instead of getting more selfish as we get more technologically advanced, we have to be more compassionate and altruistic and spread that love around.
I think social media has a lot to do with that growing sense of ego. It's, everything we do is out there. Who likes our stuff, and, what are we posting? And, our value is like based on this totally, it's not even real. I mean, it's not real. It's not the real world. And there is a lot more narcissism, and there's like, I'm right and I can't hear anybody else, and we're not listening to each other. We're just all talking at the same time.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
I said, it drives me nuts a little bit.
Oh, yeah. Well, and we control who we have on our social media, and we get rid of the voices that we don't like. So we're talking in a vacuum anyway. I mean, anytime you get one kind of people together, it breeds ignorance. Anytime you need the loyal opposition to keep you sane. You need people that have different ideas and different thoughts, so that they can challenge what you're thinking and make sure that it's in balance. And, the thing about it is we don't have respectful discourse. We need respectful discourse. What you get is, I'm right and you're wrong. No, I'm right and you're wrong. And then nobody's listening to anybody else. If you are open-hearted with your seeking and you believe that other people are open-hearted in their sharing, it's easier to share. But there's so many people who are just all out for themselves and speak with disdain to everybody who doesn't agree with them. And then it's really hard to grow.
You can't ever have somebody can't hear you if you're yelling at them, and they can't hear you or ever understand where you're coming from if you just block them or you take them off. I mean, and not for nothing, and invalidating people for having different opinions or different ideas. And just, I mean, there's certain things that I don't want to hear, that are just horrible. I mean, obviously there's a lot of things that we don't want to, but having an open discussion and know, I have friends who don't believe the same things that I do. We don't have some of my friends don't have the same political beliefs I do. We just, and that's fine. Like, I think it's fine. I think I was raised in a way where that's a good thing. And there's certain things that you don't have to agree on, as long as it's not something that's fundamentally against the core of who you are or morally wrong, but
yeah, I think that's where we're at with politics a lot of times, is that it's a fundamental thing, and that's what people end up fighting over.
Absolutely. Yeah. Anyway, so what other cool things are you guys doing over there at the Aquarian Tabernacle Church?
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. We've got so many fantastic things coming up. So I'm about to go to Florida to Summer Magic Festival. I haven't been in person to a festival in now home 3 years. I'm so excited to be going somewhere. Yeah. Oh my gosh, I've had 4 COVID shots, so I ought to be okay, because I'm super high risk, you guys. So if you see me in Florida, don't hug me, because I'm going to be masked. But I will hold your hand and be so glad to see you, because oh my God, I miss people. And then we have Starwood is coming up with the IPMAs, International Pagan Music Awards, and I'm being added to the board. I'm being added to the board of the IMPAs, and that's so exciting. I have a song out. We just listened to it this morning. That's super fun.
You have a song out? Is that what you just said?
A song out.
What? Well, I didn't even know you were a musician.
I had a music contract. I play bass guitar. I had a music contract when I was 20. Yeah.
Oh my God! I see. I learned something new today.
That's so I'm kind of nervous on that, but it's really good. And Dusty raps on it, and he's so awesome.
What? I'm dying to hear this. I'm dying to hear it.
I'll send you the link.
Yeah, please do. Please do.
It's I think it's called Magic Flows, I think is the name of it. And
very cool.
So we're going to go to Starwood and give out the music awards, and I'm so excited about that. Then we have Llamas. We're going to have Llamas at the church. It's the first one that we're having that's the public can come to. And at Llamas, we have something called the Llamas Monologues, and people come in, they do full embodiment, and they present different gods. And it started being called GodCon. That's what people call it now, because it's all of this. It's a parade of gods where people invoke and share messages that they get from the other side. And we use that as the auditions for Hecate Sickle and Spring Mysteries Festival. Hecate Sickle Festival is our Samhain festival, and Spring Mysteries Festival happens Easter every year. So we're doing Hecate Sickle for the first time in a hotel. We've been doing them in state parks for 36 years. And then the last 2 years, of course, have been online, which, is better than nothing at all. And there's certainly some benefits to online stuff, but I'm so ready to get back in person. So we're doing it at the Hilton SeaTac right by the airport. So all of the people that are, all over the place in the ATC can come and not have to rent a car. It's like you could literally throw your suitcase from the airport to the hotel. It's that close.
There you go.
So that's exciting.
You're doing it indoors or outdoors? Is there an
outdoors? Yeah, it's indoors. Wow. It's at a hotel. It's a convention. The hotel has a lot of really nice outdoor spaces that are private. It's the Hilton Courtyard. So there's a courtyard that's got some outdoor spaces. So we've planned some things in some outdoor spaces, but I mean, it's not safe yet to put a bunch of people in barracks. I mean, at the festival grounds that we have, it's 60 people in a room sleeping.
Oh, wow. Yeah, no, probably.
It's probably just not safe. Idea. And it's 60 people in a bathroom together. And so if you've got your own hotel room, you don't have to bring your bedding. You've got your own bathroom. We figure it's as safe as it can be. You can wear a mask. If you feel like you need to, we'll go around other people. And then that's as safe as we can reasonably get it. So I'm super excited about that. We're doing something called the Dawning of the Goddess. Marissa, you probably have received the information that for the last 30 years, we've been bringing the goddess into the light. You've heard that, right? She's told you that. Yeah. So you guys, what the eldership I've been hearing since the 80s is you need to bring the goddess into the light. And we're moving into galactic spring. And so we're doing a reawakening of the earth and a recreating of the earth. We're going to have Gaia there, and she's going to give birth to the Titans, and we're going to show the evolution of the gods and bring them into the modern day.
That's amazing. How cool. Oh, I got to come to this. This sounds really cool.
And then we're going to we're going to invite the gods to reestablish their sovereignty over the different areas of our world. Because as much as the history books would like you to believe that our forefathers were Christians that were fleeing the Church of England, most of us know that that wasn't true. That's why there's a pyramid on our money. The forefathers were mostly pagans, right? Like Thomas Jefferson believed in reincarnation, and we have evidence that they were Masons and pagans for the most part. And if you look at our government buildings, they're Greco-Roman. They're not like Christian architecture, whatever that would look like. And so our government and our holidays and stuff are largely based on the pagan wheel of the year and a lot of things that pagans already believe. And then Christianity kind of came in and was like, no, everything is Christian and it always has been. And that's just not true. So we're reestablishing the sovereignty of the gods, the Greek gods, over their different forms of our areas of our civilization, and asking them to bring balance to the world so that we can make this evolutionary leap with all of our technology and regain our spiritual connectedness to the earth and the gods without having to lose it and major cataclysms and loss of food and go back to caveman times, because nobody wants that.
No,
you know,
nobody wants that.
The earth changes, it being kind of shaky. We got to direct our future, or our future is going to direct us.
Right, absolutely.
That's what we're doing. A lot of exciting things happening with
it sounds exciting. I'm like, that's really fun. And it's good that you're finally being able to feel comfortable enough to get out. I know you've been really keeping it pretty cloistered for a while because of COVID. Yeah.
Well, I have COPD. I had too much when I was younger, you guys. Too much fun. Yeah. So I have to, my lungs, if I get sick, I'm sick. And I don't want to be on oxygen.
No, of course not. Of course not. Of course not.
So so I have to be real careful. I appreciate people understanding that. Yeah,
of course. Listen, I mean, I have heart failure, so I've got and I did get COVID in January, and I was very, very lucky. Let's just put I was here. I was pretty sick though, but knock on wood, and I was vaccinated too. So it just happened, but Roger is a musician and he goes to do shows, in different parts of the country. And I think he came home and he never got sick, but I did. So you got to be careful. That's the moral of the story. Be careful, especially if you've got an underlying condition.
Yeah, I have things like this within arm's reach of everywhere I go, and I have to take some in the morning and the night and stuff like that. Yeah.
No, and adding any kind of respiratory issue would probably be disastrous. So of course, but I'm excited that you're going to be doing all this cool stuff though, because it's boring. Yeah, it's boring to be home all the time.
I love my Florida peeps, and I haven't seen them in forever. And so going to Orlando is going to be exciting. And then going to Starwood. Starwood's being held at Wisteria, which is where Dusty and I met.
Oh, wow.
So, so that's Dusty's old stomping grounds. And so that's really exciting. It's a good year.
That's really exciting. So, you had mentioned earlier about the Wiccan seminary. So, let everybody know about that. And I'm going to post the link, guys, to it if you want to check it out. But tell them what that's all about. What can they do there?
WiccanSeminary.EDU. That is the name. The fancy name that you tell your friends when you have a degree is Woolstenstein Theological Seminary, because Pete wanted you to be able to tell your friends something that didn't sound pagan. But WiccanSeminary.EDU is the name of the URL. And it is a state recognized, you could get a college degree from a state recognized college in Wiccan ministry, associates, bachelor's, master's, and doctorate. And you, like, people are like, what kind of jobs can you get with this? Well, you can get jobs at prisons and hospitals and colleges and stuff like that, to be a chaplain or to teach even. But it's more about the scholarship of Wicca and paganism. It's not so much you're going to come here, we're going to initiate you, and then you're going to be a third degree Wiccan or anything like that.
Right.
It is a scholarly degree. You're going to study theology, Wiccan law, Wiccan history, wheel of the year, how to cast and call and create sacred space, do a lot of shadow work. Second year is shadow work. We do a lot of figuring out what's wrong with you and how to fix it, so that when you do become a leader, you're not projecting your problems onto everybody else. What often happens in Wiccan leadership is people don't do their shadow work. I mean, people don't want to look at their shadow work because it's ugly, right? So they just pretend like they focus on all these other things. And then when they get into leadership, they project all their problems onto everybody else and do a lot of damage. You hear horror stories about it all the time. So we do deep shadow work, get all of that purged out of your system so that you can be the leader that you want to be and be a loving, protecting provider of opportunities and growth to the people that you serve, instead of, overbearing, control, ego, maniacal, whatever.
Right.
And then junior and senior is all about officiating and ritual. They do the rituals for the school and the church. Moons during junior, Sabbats during senior, and there are electives that you can take: herbology, divination. There's this really cool Lilith elective that people love. There's sacred dance, all kinds of stuff, all kinds of cool stuff.
Wow, that sounds amazing.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun, and you get a scholar degree. It's a real college degree, and we try to make it affordable for everybody. There are scholarships available if you are on disability or if you're unemployed. We want everybody that wants to go to school to be able to go. So we really do everything that we can to make it accessible to everybody. And oh man, I love it. It's been around for a long time. It's how me and Pete met. Pete was like, I need somebody to run my school. And I was running a school called Wise Seminary on the East Coast. And he was like, I want to give you my school. And I was like, I already have one. So we just mashed them together and made Wiccan Seminary. And it's been in operation for about 15, 20 years now.
Wow, that is really neat. So this isn't about getting initiated into a tradition. This is about learning how to be a leader and scholastic study of theology as far as it goes to Wicca, right?
Well, we're trying to provide pastoral care too. So if you go to any of the prisons, there are tons of pagans there, and they have no representation. So I'm looking at a stack of letters like this that are just the recent ones that we get from prisoners all the time. And if you go with any kind of credentials to a state, or I don't know about federal, but state prisons, I'm sure they will give you a stipend to come and minister to the pagans there. They really need help in that. And I think the hospitals are moving into that same thing too. You have chaplains in prisons and hospitals, but we have more and more pagans there, and they need care. So it really is about providing that need, but it also works really good with your initiatory program. If you're an initiatory student, and it just helps move you faster down that path. It's a big sky. There's a lot to learn, right? And sometimes it takes a long time to get all of the stuff in, where if you have a formal program, it's faster and easier.
Right. So does the ATC offer an initiatory program where you can earn a first degree Wicca or second degree or high priestess?
The ATC doesn't, but the people in the ATC do. The ATC is a facilitating body.
Okay, so one of the churches that are in there, you could go to one of them and they could help you with that.
Absolutely.
Got it. I got it. See, I got to wrap my head around the way that works. Okay.
It's a
Got it.
it's the only 501 organization in Wicca. It's not a 501c3. 501c3s are underneath it. It's a 501 organization. And so we have a lot of power to really build community.
Right.
But
really
it
cool.
itself is just a piece of paper. Right.
Right. So it's just basically it's the governing piece of paper over all of the actual churches that are there.
Correct.
Okay.
It's like the Constitution. The Constitution can't do anything.
Yeah, I got it. I got it now. I think I got it now. We'll see. It's been a rough week, Bella. Anyway.
Oh my God, Mercury's never allowed to go in retrograde in Gemini again. I didn't think I was going to make it.
Are you kidding? I'm a Virgo too. So and with a Scorpio rising, so the fixed signs had a hell of a time through this last whole cycle eclipses. It was a nightmare. I'm just so glad. I'm like, please be over. Please.
Somebody sacrifice a goat. I mean, I don't
know. Really? Okay. So, all right. So that's really amazing to know about the WiccanSeminary.EDU. Anybody who's interested, go check it out. And how would somebody get in touch with one of your groups? Are there, is there a place where you can find like a local group if somebody does want to initiate into Wicca under your tradition or whatever tradition that, the group they're in is?
Yeah, you can go to atcwicca.org. Okay, and there is a map. It's under affiliates or groups or something like that.
Okay.
It's a menu option, and you click on the one that there's like events, services, groups, and then there's a map, and it shows you the different ones on the map, so you can find the one closest to you. And if you want to affiliate, you can also go to that same place and fill out an application to affiliate. We love to affiliate people and create more legal churches. I know that our government just loves it that we're doing that. So we try to appease them as much as possible. Make little baby churches all over the United States and the world. That's what we need to do.
There you go. Make the world a better place. There you go.
Right. We need that. We really do.
One group at a time. For sure. So I'm so excited you were here today with us, and thank you so much for being here. Is there anything else that we forgot to mention that you want to talk about before we get off here? Because I'm trying to.
I think we covered everything. I'm really excited to be able to share.
Yeah,
and I'm grateful for the work that you do, Marissa. I really appreciate all of the work that you do. I watch all of your work. And I just think that you're awesome. And it's wonderful to get to be friends with you and a part of your world. Right. And I'm so grateful for you having me on here.
You see, I'm turning red. Don't do this to me. I feel the same way about you, Bella, definitely. And I'm really excited that that you were on my show. And I'm really trying to, if you haven't subscribed on YouTube, I got lots of Facebook love, but my YouTube channel needs love too. So would you subscribe at youtube.com/touchofmagic with a K? See the little K there? That's the special K. That means I'm not doing sleight of hand. All right, everybody. So on Wednesday, June 8th, our new segment is Witch Talk Wednesday, Living the Craft, where we speak with witches, not necessarily people that are in the public, but they could be, but people living the craft in their local communities and finding out how they practice and what they do. We're going to have different people from, that are creators of art, that are, witchy art and pagan art. But this week, we're going to have the leadership from Circle Sanctuary, which is a goddess-based tradition out here in Las Vegas. Their primary deity is Sekhmet, which you find a lot of that out in the desert. That desert energy makes sense, right? And they are wonderful. So Wednesday at 5 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time. And until then, remember to be the magic, because you are the magic, and that is a fact. And I will see you again soon. Thanks for checking it out. Bye.